Hey, Uncle Roddus back again. Another record video. Just got back from town. Just been cleaning and discogging a bunch of records I've just picked up. Had some chores to do in town today. Impromptu sort of thing actually, but decided to go into town and try it. Actually, I didn't have a lot of luck with the chores I wanted to do. There were some sales on at some shops. Wanted to get some new tramping boots. Got there and they didn't have any. Only had 2 pairs of tramping boots on sale, not the 20 or 30 pairs they showed on their website. Unless you live in Auckland. Anyway, that was a bit unsuccessful. But I went to Penny Lane and I picked up some records, and I've got a couple of 3 albums that have turned up as well. So let's get straight into it. Try not to prattle on for too long. Sarang Bang Records is something I have shown quite a few records from. It is a local label in here in New Zealand run by Gianmarco Liguri, and he is a musician as well, and he has put out a new record as well. This is a, what's the word I'm looking for? There's 2 guys here, Tom Ludvigsen and Gianmarco, and this is the cover. Now, again, like the Salon Kingsador record which they put out, and Gianmarco is in Salon Kingsador. Their last record was a very limited pressing of 100, which I showed a year or so ago. It was also another one where he had different covers for every record produced, for each 100. This is the same thing. From what I've seen so far, the variations are actually just the colour. So the record covers that I've seen this time, the artwork with the little triangles, I think looks pretty much the same, but the colouring of the cover is different. There's the back of it. Anyway, this is what you can hear. If you can hear it playing in the background, that is what is playing away there at the moment. It's pretty experimental, weird sort of, I guess it's, I wouldn't say it's improvised, because I think these guys were sending tapes back and forwards to each other, and they constructed the music that way. A new release that has just hit the shelves. This one here, Purple Pilgrims, Perfumed Earth. Now, I picked up their other album not all that long ago. It's been sitting around on my want list for a while, and it was still available. And I got it home and I had a listen to it, and I didn't really connect with it too much, to be honest, on the first couple of listens. But I will revisit it because I actually am liking this. Perfumed Earth. It's 2 sisters. It's very kind of dream poppy. I really like it, but the production's very murky, and it's almost got a droney feel to it, which, I mean, some people will like, but it's not kind of droney music. It's quite poppy. It's kind of got a 4AD vibe to it. So I really like it, and to be honest, if it had much better production and much better fidelity, it would be an absolutely fantastic record. I do like the vocal melodies, and I like there's some interesting stuff happening. I will drag out their first one. A comment was made that they did a split LP with someone else a while back, maybe before the other album I've got, perhaps, I don't know. I have to research that. And he said that was their best album. And then one I had on on pre-order, and it was quite a while because the band went off to Europe and toured for a month or so about the time the record was released, and so they didn't get to send them out until they got back. But Earth Tongue is a guitar drums duo from Wellington, and it is Gussie Larkin from the Mermaidens. She is the leader. I guess she's the leader. She appears to be the leader and guitarist and singer for the Mermaidens, who actually have a new record coming out very well soon. Now, Earth Tongue, I saw her play in Earth Tongue supporting the Mermaidens, of course, in Dunedin last year, and I was really impressed. And it was funny because the Mermaidens gig I thought it was okay, but I wasn't really over the moon or overawed about it. As a matter of fact, I like this band better on the live, and also the very first support band, which was a local Dunedin band who did put out an album, but not on vinyl. Which is a shame because it sounds really good. But yeah, so this finally came out. I didn't jump on it straight away, so I missed out on the coloured vinyl. This is just a black vinyl. Yeah, this is okay, but to be honest, I thought they were much better live. And the kind of music sounds a little bit samey, and they're kind of doing the same thing on quite a few of the songs, but it does need a little bit more attention. So I won another Trade Me auction a week or so ago, and this album had come up, a New Zealand punk album from 1983. No, there it is. This is on Propeller Records. Now, this is their only LP, and it actually is a live recording, recorded live at the Reverb Room in 1982 in October. I didn't realise it was a live album. I never owned a copy of this originally, but I did have a copy of the EP. The EP they put out is quite sought after, and so is the record. It's quite sought after, and the EP was up for sale, and so was the record from the same seller. And I jumped on the record, and I thought, well, it's actually all 3 tracks off the EP are on the record. But what I didn't realise was that this was actually live. Now, yeah, as I said, I used to have the EP with the 3 tracks, and it is their best 3 tracks that are on there. But that's fine. So anyway, yeah, this generally goes for 3 figures. I think up around, close to 3 figures or over. There is a copy for sale for 180 New Zealand dollars on Discogs. The guy had it up for sale on Trade Me with a reserve of $60. He wanted to sell it. He was pretty keen to sell it, but I kind of figured there'd be a bit of a bidding war on it, perhaps. And sure, it's not going to get up to big dollars. Man, there's been some huge records sold on Trade Me and from New Zealand Records. One album went for $1,500, a Farmyard album, and then a Flying Nun single by the Pin Group, Flying Nun 003, went for $3,998 for a 7-inch single. Wow, that's amazing. Anyway, for those who've seen my earlier video, I talked about a Trade Me auction that I won. I'll give a little story about that. So this one here, I sat on it and I put a couple of bids in. I put a bid in for $60. Someone put a bid in for $61. I put a bid in for $62. This was a couple of 3 days out from the actual closing of the auction. And I kind of thought, I actually put an auto bid in and put a limit on it. And the limit was up there. It was up there over 3 figures. I figured this is what it's going to go for. And there was 20 odd people, I think, watching the auction, and it sat there, and then I waited for it's going to be the last minute bid war and that, and nothing happened. And I won the auction for $62. So I was wrapped. I was absolutely wrapped. So I got a good deal there. It's in good nick, and really good nick. I actually have brought off the seller before, not through Trade Me. He's actually on the Facebook Vinyl Lovers page. So yeah, really, really pleased to get that. I may have to track down the EP if the EPs were actual studio recordings of those songs. I just can't quite remember because it's been so long. Anyway, today in Penny Lane, after we'd done our other little chores, I got into Penny Lane and I was looking. I went through the new bins. There was nothing in the new arrival bins. There was absolutely nothing that actually took my, that I had to have. There was lots of interesting records, and you look at them and I don't need to buy that. I don't need to buy that. I don't need to buy that. That could be interesting, but there wasn't even much of that, to be honest. A lot of it was just stuff. Some I knew what it was, but it wasn't, not stuff I knew whether I would buy it or not because I don't know what the music was like. I don't know. Not much. So I got through all of the bins, and basically right at the end there was one record. It was a pretty cheap one. And I went to the New Zealand bins. The New Zealand section there has shrunk by about 2 or 3 bins. you know, a lot of the fodder that they had sitting there has disappeared, but there is still some of it there. But there's actually maybe they got rid of a lot of it in the big sale earlier in the year. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, they've definitely shrunk. The collection has definitely shrunk in the New Zealand side. There was nothing there that interests me at all, except for one record I kind of was thinking, humming and hurrying about, and then the new releases New Zealand bin. It was either everything I had or some. There was about 7 or 8 records there I don't have, but they don't interest me at all. So I actually went to the jazz section and was thinking maybe I might find some ECMs or something. But actually I did pretty well in the jazz section today. The jazz section has a lot of very old jazz. There's lots of Louis Armstrong, and there's lots of bassies, and there's lots of easy listening jazz, and there's lots of stuff and it's quite cheap. I mean, you get $5 to $10 for a lot of stuff, but things like spiritual jazz and hard bop, and the really cool, super cool and avant-garde stuff, you just don't see it around very much, and you do end up paying a bit more for it. But Elvin Jones, I really like Elvin Jones. This is a Vanguard release, and it is from 1975 it says here. It's in good. I like his music. I've got a couple of records, 3 or 4 records now of his from around that period, and that. So it'll be interesting to see what that is like. I'm not familiar with what's on the record, but pleased to get that. And then, and even more pleased to get is a much earlier one, but it's an actual Blue Note from 1968, I believe, and I think it's an original Blue Note. Elvin Jones Trio with Joe Farrell. I know Joe Farrell. I've heard him, and Jimmy Garrison. So what do we got? Saxophone, bass, and drum. So I will look forward to that. That will be really cool. Elvin Jones drum, Jimmy Garrison on bass, and Joe Farrell on tenor sax, soprano sax, and flute. So and looking at Discogs, I don't believe this is any sort of reissue. It is an original out of the US. So and as I said to the guy at the counter, I was really pleased to get him. There was another Blue Note, and he said yes, we don't see them that often. There was another Blue Note there, and it was only $10, and I was like, what's going on here? A Blue Note, and it was an Ornette Coleman Blue Note, and I looked at it, and I pulled it out of the jacket, and it was actually a World Record Club release, and I showed that in my last video, a jazz record I picked up, which was a World Record Club release, and because of that I didn't buy it in the end. If it's still there next time, I may grab it, but just for the music, but I would rather have the original Blue Note. Was pleased to find a couple of, one of these, the Golden Flute, Yusef Lateef. This is sometime from the late 60s. This is an original Impulse, I believe. Really good condition. Gatefold. Impulse. I don't have many of the Impulse jazz releases. I do have a reissue of one, which was an Artie. What's his name? I can't think of it. It's gone off there. I showed his record last video. Anyway, so I'm sort of slightly familiar with Yusef. I've got a compilation with some stuff he did on, and it was reasonably pretty cool. And I know, I think people tend to put him under that sort of spiritual jazz thing, I think. I don't know for sure. Anyway, so was kind of pleased to find this. And like I say, being an Impulse, I grabbed, nice to get some original Impulses. So I found that, and then I also found this another one, Jazz Around the World, another Yusef Lateef one. Again, this is both from the late 60s. I can't tell you the exact year. This was recorded in 1963, this one. Okay, so The Word. Actually, who are the musicians? Because, our very own Mike Knock played with Yusef in his early days when he first went to the US in the early 60s, but he's not on this one. Richard Williams, Hugh Lawson, Ernie Barrows, and Les Humphries. I think Les Humphries is the only name I actually know on that lineup. And who was on the other one? Hugh Lawson again, Herman Wright and Roy Brooks on drums. But this one doesn't actually say when it was recorded. So, but I think it was a late 60s. So really pleased to have those. I'm assuming that's the original price tags of $4 on those, although, $4 in the late 60s, that might be, I suppose that'd be about right. I mean, when I started collecting vinyl in the early 80s, I was paying around about $10, just under $10 a record for brand new records. So, so just a quick collection there of my latest arrivals, and we'll see you again next time. Cheers.